What if I told you that the $60,000 car sitting in your driveway actually cost you $300,000? And what if I told you that for the top 1%, that exact same car cost them absolutely nothing? See, we've been fed a lie, a massive lie, that says, go to school, get a safe job, and use that salary to buy nice things. That advice is exactly why we have doctors and lawyers earning $250,000 a year who are still broke. They're living paycheck to paycheck because they are playing the game of income. But the wealthy, they are playing a completely different game called arbitrage. Welcome back to the Fiscal Axiom. I'm going to deconstruct the financial operating system of the ultra-wealthy. We aren't talking about skipping lattes today. We're talking about a mathematical shift in how you use money.
Before we begin, remember that this is for educational purposes only. Always do your own research.
If you want to stop trading your life for depreciating metal and plastic, you need to pay attention. Because today, we are killing the consumer mindset once and for all. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Your salary does not determine your wealth. Your purchasing strategy does. It is December 2025. We just watched the S&P 500 rip nearly 18% this year, following a massive run back in 2024. The market is moving. Now imagine two people. Person A works hard, saves up 60 grand in cash, and buys a brand new luxury SUV. They feel responsible, right? They didn't go into debt. They paid cash. But mathematically, they just committed financial sabotage. By spending that principal, they didn't just lose $60,000. They destroyed the seed that generates their freedom. Person B wants the exact same car, but person B understands the golden rule of wealth. Assets first, liabilities second. They never buy the toy with their own money. They build a machine, and the machine buys the toy. Let's break down exactly how this works with strategy number 1, the asset swap. Let's say you want a Tesla or a Rivian. The price tag is $60,000. The poor way to buy it, even if you make 6 figures, is to hand your savings to the dealership. Your bank account drops by 60 grand and you drive off the lot. Boom, depreciation hits instantly. Current market data shows luxury vehicles lose about 50% of their value in the first 3 years. So in 5 years, that car is worth maybe 25 grand. You lost 35,000 in depreciation, plus you lost the ability to invest that original 60,000. You are objectively poorer than when you started. Now look at the wealthy way. You take that same $60,000, but instead of giving it to a car company, you give it to the S&P 500 or a portfolio of dividend aristocrats. Even if we ignore the crazy bull runs we've seen lately and assume a conservative 8% annual return, your 60 grand generates about $4,800 a year in growth. That is $400 a month, forever. Now you go to the dealership and you finance the car. I know. Dave Ramsey is screaming right now, but stay with me. Current auto loan rates are hovering around 6.8%. You finance that 60 grand. Your monthly payment is roughly $1,180. Here is the magic. You use the $400 a month from your investment growth to subsidize the car payment. You are now only paying $780 out of pocket.
But wait, you say, I'm still paying for the car. Yes, but look at your position 5 years later. In the first scenario, you have a used car worth 25 grand, and your money is gone. In the second scenario, you have the same used car, but you still have your original $60,000 investment. Actually, thanks to compound interest, if you let that money ride, that $60,000 could have grown to nearly $90,000. Do you see the difference? One person killed the goose to eat a single meal. The other person kept the goose, let it lay eggs, and eventually, the goose buys the next car. This is the fundamental difference between being rich and just acting rich. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why not just pay cash and be debt-free? Because debt-free with zero assets is just broke with good credit. The wealthy are willing to endure the complexity because the math works in their favor. They delay the gratification of owning the title so they can own the money. But that is just the baby step. That is kindergarten stuff. What happens when you have a portfolio worth $2 million or $10 million? How do billionaires buy $100 million yachts without selling a single share of stock? That is called buy, borrow, die. Let's scale up. Imagine you've built a portfolio worth $10 million. It's churning out roughly $800,000 to $1 million a year in growth without you lifting a finger. Now you want to buy a $2 million luxury home. The amateur moves to sell $2 million worth of stock, but here comes the IRS. Between federal capital gains and state taxes, you might lose 25 to 30%. To get that $2 million cash, you actually have to sell nearly $2.7 million of your assets. You just incinerated $700,000 in wealth, gone forever. The pro move, you walk into the bank. You don't sell a single share. You say, I want to borrow $2 million against my portfolio. Because the loan is secured by liquid assets, the bank loves it. In today's rate environment, they might offer you a rate of 6%. Do the math with me. You pay 6% interest on the loan, which is $120,000 a year. But your $2.7 million that you didn't sell stays in the market, earning 8%, which is $216,000 a year.
You are paying $120,000 to keep earning $216,000. You are netting nearly $100,000 in profit by borrowing money to buy a house. Plus, you paid zero taxes. Why? Because debt is not taxable income. This is how the game is rigged. This is how the ultra-wealthy allow their net worth to compound uninterrupted until the day they die. Now, I can hear you screaming through the screen. I don't have $10 million. I have student loans in a Honda Civic. I get it. You can't execute the billionaire loophole without the assets. So, how do you build that asset base? You have to stop bleeding money to your biggest expense. It's not your rent, it's not your groceries, it's taxes. Most people operate on the W-2 model. You earn, the government takes their cut, and you spend what's left. If you want to buy a $3,000 MacBook and you're in the 30% tax bracket, that laptop doesn't cost $3,000. You have to earn $4,300 just to pay for it. That is a 43% markup on your life. The wealthy prioritize business ownership, even just a side hustle, because it flips the equation. They earn, they spend on the business, and then they pay tax on what is left. That same MacBook, if it's for your business, you earn $3,000, you buy the laptop, and your taxable income is now zero. If you do not have a business entity, you are voluntarily playing the game on hard mode. You are letting the government take the first bite of your apple every single time. But there is still a gap. A massive canyon between saving on taxes and having millions in stocks. You need leverage. You need a system where you can put down $50,000 and control an asset worth $250,000. I'm talking about the infinite return model in real estate. Most people think their house is their biggest asset. They are wrong. Until you unlock the equity, your house is just a savings account that pays zero interest. Let's look at the math. You buy a property, you put $60,000 down. Fast forward 7 to 10 years, the property appreciates and the tenants pay down the mortgage. You now have over $200,000 in equity sitting there, trapped.
The middle class move is to do nothing, or sell it and pay taxes. The wealthy move is the cash out refinance. You go to the bank, they appraise the new higher value, they give you a new loan, paying off the old one. You walk away with a check for $130,000, tax-free. Because again, it's debt, not income. You still own the house, it still appreciates, tenants still pay the mortgage. But here is where it gets crazy. You only put $60,000 in at the start. You just pulled out $130,000. You have recovered all of your initial investment, plus profit, and you still own the asset. In finance, your return on investment is calculated by dividing your profit by how much of your own money is in the deal. After the refinance, how much of your money is left in the house? Zero. Actually, less than zero. When your denominator is zero, your return is infinite. Every dollar of cash flow that house produces for the rest of time is pure profit generated from thin air. This is how you scale. Property 1 funds Property 2, then 1 and 2 fund 3 and 4. It is an exponential curve. But, and this is a big but, this requires discipline. You have to be willing to look average while you build. Look at the tale of two incomes. Two people earning 180 grand. Person A rents the luxury apartment, leases the BMW, and orders DoorDash daily. They look rich, but they are one layoff away from total collapse. Person B buys a modest duplex and rents out the other half. They drive a 5-year-old Toyota. They invest the difference. 5 years later, Person A has 40 grand in a 401k. Person B has a net worth over $300,000. Same income, same time frame. Massive difference. Income is not wealth. Income is just the fuel. Wealth is the engine. If you pour your fuel onto the ground by consuming it, it burns up instantly. If you pour it into the engine, it takes you places while you sleep. So how do you start? Charlie Munger famously said, "The first 100,000 is a bitch, but you gotta do it." He wasn't being rude. He was teaching physics. When you have $0, compound interest does nothing. When you have $10,000 invested, a 10% return is just $1,000. It feels pointless. This is the valley of despair where most people quit. But once you hit 100,000, that same 10% is 10 grand. At 500,000, it's 50 grand. That's a full salary generated without you working. Your only job is to survive the grind until you hit that tipping point. Here is your execution plan.
Step 1. The audit. For 30 days, track every penny. You will find that 90% of your income is vanishing into things that go to zero. Step 2. Flip the ratio. You need to get to a 20% investment rate immediately. If you take home 4 grand, 800 needs to disappear into a brokerage account before you pay a single bill. But I can't afford that. Yes, you can. It means driving the older car. It means cooking at home. Comfort is the enemy of wealth. And step 3, the new purchasing OS. Before you buy anything over $500, ask yourself, is this moving me toward freedom or away from it? Can I buy the asset first? Don't buy the watch, buy the stock. Let the dividends buy the watch. And finally, what is the opportunity cost? That $5 daily coffee isn't $5. Over 10 years, invested at 8%, that habit is $27,000. Is the caffeine worth 27 grand to you? Maybe it is, but make that choice consciously. We have been programmed to believe that luxury is a logo, a Gucci belt, a BMW badge. They are lying to you. True luxury is waking up in the morning and not having to go to work. True luxury is owning your time. You have a choice to make right now. You can keep playing the game of income, running on the treadmill until you're 65, or you can start building the machine. It will be boring at first. Your friends won't understand. But in 10 years, when they are still stressed about Monday morning and you are deciding which continent to visit, they will ask you how you got so lucky. And you can tell them, I didn't get lucky. I just bought the assets first. Start today. Buy your freedom. If you found value in this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe to the Fiscal Axiom. I'll see you in the next one.